When people think of Alsace, they usually think either of Strasbourg or Colmar. And yes, both are beautiful cities, but after exploring Alsace in depth, I realized that the real beauty of this region often lies beyond the famous spots. So, here's my pick for the top 10 most beautiful places in Alsace outside of Strasbourg and Colmar that you have to see. So, let's start exploring. Before we start, here's a quick map so you can see where all the places are. On number 10 is Rosheim. Rosheim is just a short drive from Strasbourg away, but almost no one seems to stop here, and that's exactly what makes it special. It feels quiet, local, and refreshingly untouched by mass tourism. One of the most fascinating things about Rosheim is that it's home to a Roman house considered the oldest preserved civilian building in France. It also has quite a lot of preserved medieval architecture, and of course, the best part is, you have the town for yourself, as Rosheim is pretty much unknown to most tourists who visit Alsace. So, if you want to see a more authentic and less touristy side of Alsace, this is a great place to start. Moving on to the 9th place, Dambach la Ville. Dambach la Ville feels similar to Rosheim. It's surrounded by vineyards and still enclosed by medieval walls, but it doesn't feel like a tourist village at all. People actually live here, and you can see that right away. The streets are calm, the houses are colorful but not staged, and wine culture is part of everyday life. This is the kind of place where you don't rush, you just walk around, take it in, and enjoy how quiet and genuine it is. Next up is Selestat. Selestat is one of those places people pass through without really stopping, which is a shame, as it sits right between Strasbourg and Colmar, but feels much calmer than both. Walking through the old town, you quickly get a sense that this place once had an important role in the region's history. The highlight of Selestat is the Humanist Library, which contains one of the largest collections of books from the Renaissance era. The town is also known as the City of Christmas Trees, as the oldest mention of Christmas trees was recorded right here in 1521. So, as you can see, Selestat is a great stop if you want something cultural without the crowds or pressure to see everything. On the 7th spot is Riquewihr. Riquewihr is probably one of the most famous villages in Alsace, and honestly, it is beautiful. But during the day, it can seem very busy and a bit overwhelming. That's why I think that the best time to see Riquewihr is in winter, especially in the evening, when the Christmas lights come on and most visitors are gone. The village completely changes. That's when it really feels special, quiet, atmospheric, and almost magical. Next up is Turckheim. Turckheim is often overshadowed by nearby villages, which makes it a great alternative. It's colorful, welcome, and noticeably less busy, while still offering everything people love about Alsace. The historic center is compact and easy to explore, with beautiful houses and small squares that locals actually live in. What makes Turckheim special is how balanced it feels. Charming but not overrun. So, if you want a village that still feels local, this is an excellent choice. Next up is Obernai. Obernai feels more like a town rather than a village, but it still has a strong medieval character. Its historic center is well preserved, with narrow streets, timbered houses, and a lively atmosphere. The main church dominates the old town, and adds to the sense of history you feel while walking through the streets. Obernai is easy to explore, full of cafes and local life, and it's both scenic and comfortable. It's a great example of how Alsace blends everyday life with historic charm. On my 4th place is Kaysersberg. Kaysersberg is one of those places that really lives up to the hype, as it is a place where history and scenery come together almost effortlessly. The town developed along an important medieval trade route, which explains why it has always been strategically and economically important. Above the town, you'll notice the castle ruins. They once protected the valley and controlled movement throughout the region. Today, they're a reminder of how contested this area was for centuries. Down below, the town itself is built along the river, with narrow streets, half-timbered houses and stone bridges that feel very authentically Alsatian. Unlike some villages that feel like open-air museums, Kaysersberg still feels balanced, historic but alive. It's a place where you can clearly see how medieval towns were designed, while still enjoying the atmosphere of a place that very much lived in. On my third place is Haut-Koenigsbourg Castle. Haut-Koenigsbourg Castle is without question one of the most impressive historical sites in Alsace. Originally built in the Middle Ages, the castle guarded the wine route and Rhine Valley, making it a key strategic fortress for centuries. Over time, it fell into ruin, but what you see today is the result of a major restoration just before World War I. The castle was rebuilt under German rule and was intended to represent imperial power, even envisioned as a residence connected to the German emperor. The castle is not just impressive from the outside. On the inside, you can explore furnished rooms, halls, staircases and courtyards that give a very tangible impression of what life in a medieval fortress was like. So if you only visit one castle in Alsace, make sure it is this one. On number 2 we have Eguisheim. Eguisheim is often mentioned among the most beautiful villages in France, and its layout alone makes it stand out. Unlike most villages in Alsace, Eguisheim is built in a circular shape, with streets forming rings around the historic center. This design dates back to the Middle Ages and gives the village a very distinct rhythm as you walk through it. Historically, Eguisheim is also important as the birthplace of Pope Leo IX, adding to the cultural significance. The village itself is not very large, which makes it easy to explore without feeling rushed. What makes Eguisheim special isn't how big it is, but how concentrated everything feels. Colorful houses, flowers and quiet corners come together in a way that feels intimate rather than overwhelming, especially if you visit outside peak hours. And now it's time to show you my favorite place in Alsace, Ribeauville. When I visited, the weather honestly wasn't great, but that didn't matter at all. This town has a very special atmosphere that's hard to explain and even harder to capture on camera. There isn't one single landmark that defines Ribeauville. Instead, it's the experience of being there, wandering through what feels like endless medieval streets, passing colorful houses, and slowly discovering the town at your own pace. Ribeauville doesn't try to impress with one big site, it wins you over by how it feels as a whole. And that's exactly why it's my number 1. As you can see, Alsace has far more to offer than just its 2 most famous cities. Whether you're looking for quiet villages or historic towns, this region rewards those who explore a little deeper. So, in which places have you been and which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget, never stop exploring.